I'd like to quickly apologize for my rambling. Long day, a bit stressed because of school. So I'm terribly sorry if I started just wiggling my lips and not blah. Uh, I hope I didn't ramble too much.
No, that's no biggie.
Okay, I'm glad. And I hope that the background noise wasn't too bad either. My sister has decided that she wanted to be rather boisterous.
Hmm. Yeah, we heard that.
Thank God for audio editing magic.
Yeah. I was thinking about making a small thing of outtakes from these interviews. like
Oh, yay.
there's usually a small discussion or some related thing after the interview. And I was thinking
Hmm.
about putting up some of those things.
All right. I'd be
Something
up for that.
something I would do.
My brain is just so dead right now. I'm sorry.
Okay, we've got absolutely no conversation feel.
Oh, I can think
So
of plenty of conversations, but it's deciding what's of general interest.
yeah. Well, I'd think gaming would be a common interest between all of us.
Well, there we go. Actually, on that topic, I recently came out of the beta for Archage, and it released a few days ago. Are either of you into MMOs much?
Not really.
Okay, that's what I kind of figured. I'm not either, but this one
Well,
looked rather interesting. Um,
unless you count Destiny as an MMO,
I
which
don't really.
which I don't either. So
Uh,
so
MMO as a first-person shooter can be, I suppose. Okay, let's ignore the MMO approach
I
then.
don't know if you've played Destiny at all, Paleo. What do you
No,
think of
no,
that?
Mm.
no. I haven't really played it at all. Like I have a PS3 and 360 that I could play on, but I figured that I know that like Saber and Vivids and they were all going to wait for the PC version if they were going to get it. So that's probably what
If
I'm gonna
that
do.
ever happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bungie's being really vague in that field.
Sadly, I'm one of
It
those
could
who
happen.
splashed out for an Xbox One.
For shame. I'm
Mm,
kidding.
probably in the minority when it comes to gamers.
Well, actually, since you kind of brought up yeah, indie games a bit, Paleo, now I've kind of been trying to you know, get more into the indie game like scene, I suppose.
Hmm.
But it's been a kind of an ongoing discussion as to what kind of, what constitutes an independent game. I mean, it seems like the fact that it's an independent studio doesn't quite fit anymore. But any this huge outpouring of independent games, what classifies a game in the first place? Now, have you ever played games like Dear Esther or
Yeah, I
Gone?
have played Dear Esther.
Games that could, you know, are only a lot of people kind of see them as only games in the virtue of the fact that they are slightly interactive narratives.
Yeah, like because what you do in that game is you just
You
pretty much
walk
walk.
to a rather
Yeah,
soothing narration.
yeah.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed the
Like I
Dear
do
Esther
like
as an experience, but
yeah, I
as
do
you
like
get,
the environments in it and everything.
mm,
But
right,
like I'd call it interactive, but I wouldn't really call it a game.
yeah,
Um, like this is actually one of the videos I had in mind for when I
mm.
was going to do a uh the the game reviews and stuff. I was going to do one video that wasn't really a review, but it was like going to go over a list of walking simulators, and Dear Esther was going to be
Walking
one of them.
simulators. I like that.
Yeah, yeah, and Proteus was going to be one.
Yeah,
Um, I was going to
Proteus
put the
confuses me so much.
yeah.
I got it recently, and I'm not sure what to think of it at all.
Yeah, and I was going to put the Stanley Parable in there.
Ah,
I
yes.
really like the Stanley Parable though.
Actually, Stanley Parable has a bit more of an argument toward being an actual game than Dear Esther does,
Yeah,
because Dear Esther, while it, has an interactive element to it, doesn't have the presence of choice. And while,
Yeah.
okay, well, the Stanley Parable arguably doesn't either, but at least it gives you the idea of choice, even if they all lead to the similar or same conclusion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really interesting game, and I let my sister play it for a few minutes, and she just dropped the controller and walked out the room, didn't say a word. It was pretty great, but yeah. Oh, there's another game I became acquainted to recently that was kind of like that, maybe a little bit more interactive than most, but Ether One or Ether, one of those
Either
two
one.
words.
I don't think I've played that.
Yeah, the idea behind the game was kind of to approach the scenario of memory and how memory interacts with the human consciousness, and in turn, what would it be like to lose it? I think it kind of feels like almost an analytical approach to Alzheimer's, like kind of trying to encapsulate the experience and like examine it through an interactive medium. It's very interesting and kind of, for lack of a better word, trippy. It's
Hmm.
like it's like, what am I smoking while I'm playing this game? It just doesn't make sense, but that kind of thing. Yeah, that's a definite recommendation for me if you ever are wondering what to play next. Yeah, sorry, I'm rambling again. I'll shut up.
Oh, it's fine. Just
Either
keep
one.
talking. It's all good.
Because I know there's quite a lot of stuff I've added to my wish list on Steam that I want to eventually get and talk about. Um, but that does sound familiar. Either one. Oh yeah,
It
here it
was
is.
it was one of the games that extra credits included in their Humble Bundle deal, and that's the reason I knew it existed in the first place. Yeah, if you keep up with extra credits at all on YouTube, is that okay? That's more of a question. Do you keep up with extra credits at all on YouTube?
I've watched a few of their videos, but I don't
Okay.
think I've actually subscribed to them. I've watched a lot of their videos though.
Yeah, they have a series. I think it's relatively newer, within the last couple of years, where it's basically games you might not have heard of, but you should probably play. And they're not even necessarily good games. They're just games that do something interesting, or in some cases, do something right. And a while ago, they actually took the initiative to have a humble bundle, including all the games in their most recent video, and that's where I got
Oh,
Ether One. But I would recommend looking at that series for some like inspiration for some games that might be recognizable, but still at the same time might be a bit more obscure as to like I've noticed in like gaming media, you'll see the names thrown around all the time, but if you actually ask, "Have you played Enter Game here?" they'll be like, "No, not really." Gone Home is a good example of that. I've seen Gone Home
yeah,
everywhere, but I don't know anyone who's actually played it.
yeah. I haven't played it.
Yeah, so there's a definite recommendation for you as well, I suppose. Kind of wish that bundle was still up, and I would recommend that too. It had some pretty good ones. Actually, one of the other ones in that bundle was One Finger Death Punch, and for a game as simplistic as that is, it took way too many hours out of my life. I think I've got like
Yeah,
20
I
some
have heard of
hours in
that
it.
one. I haven't really seen much about it though.
Oh, it's a really interesting concept. It looks and feels like a Flash game that you would see on some gaming website, like in the early 2000s. Those ones that were really popular, like
Oh yeah.
addicted games or whatever. Um, but it's actually got a very not intricate. It's not the right word. A very kind of dynamic combat system, despite the fact that you only use two buttons, the left and right mouse buttons.
Hmm.
So it's basically timing and queuing up combos. I use heavy quotations because there's only so much you can do as far as comboing two buttons. But yeah, it's a very interesting approach to gameplay mechanic. It's not a deep game by any means. It doesn't have any story to speak of. It is just straight up and fast paced. You know what's what I'm looking for? Engaging violence, basically. But as
Hmm.
far as games that kind of take a different approach to game design, that one's definitely a prominent example. I feel like this conversation is getting a bit one-sided. I should probably really shut up.
No, you're good. Um,
Yeah, and if you
yeah.
have things that you need to get to, don't let us hold you up. Because
No, it's
as critic
fine.
can probably attest, I'll talk for hours and hours and hours and not let anyone say a word.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go in a little bit because I do need to report some things. But
Understandable.
like the like I have 13 games that I have in mind that I'm going to try to complete scripts for, and then record stuff in
Right.
October, and then release them in November. Not all of them, but
Right.
um, like probably one a week, I think.
Hmm.
Uh, but hopefully people will be interested in them.
Yeah. Actually, on
Um,
that. Oh, go ahead. Never mind.
no, go ahead. I
I
wasn't
was
really
just
going to
gonna.
say anything.
Okay. I was just gonna ask, how are you approaching, doing videos on video games? Or yeah, that's something that I've contemplated a few times. However, I could just never. Kind of the same reason that I hesitate to try to review something like books. It's just it seems like a video game has so many aspects to it that I kind of have a hesitation to even considering breaking one down and reviewing it. So
Hmm.
how are you approaching that challenge, I suppose?
That's actually the reason I decided I wanted to do video games is because there are so many
Okay.
aspects to a video game. Because I sometimes find myself having trouble with
Ah,
doing the episode reviews as well as
right.
even movie reviews, because I don't know too much about the aspects of a narrative, but I know
Mm,
the aspects of game design.
there you go.
So, um, like I know more about game design than I do about
Narrative structure.
yeah, narrative structure. So, um, I feel like I would do a lot better with doing reviews about games.
Okay.
So,
I very much look forward to seeing them then. And I might take notes, off to the side a little bit. That's been kind of like I wouldn't say like a fueling motivation, but it's kind of something that's been at the back of my mind ever since I decided, oh, I'm gonna make videos now. Um, it's just I've always wanted to like really get into video games and kind of explore how they're made, how they work, what makes them appealing. It's just that's always felt like a really daunting task, and I'm going to be very much interested in seeing how you approach it and how you break it down.
yeah,
And I'm very much excited for it. So there you go. You've got one person behind your just going for it.
cool.
Sure, you'll probably have plenty more, no doubt. Yeah, I'm rambling again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've written a review on The Last of Us. It's not very good, or at least I don't think it's very good, because I primarily find myself enjoying reviewing ponies more than I do anything else. And when I
Yeah.
try to review anything else, it just feels like a complete slog. It's just boring, and I don't know.
I
I'm
can
just at
understand.
complete loss for words when I
Yeah.
try.
So, critic, what have you tried to review beyond ponies and Doctor Who and anime?
Mm, Well, I was. I
My mind
did.
is trying to find a pattern, so I
mm, I
apologize.
did. I did. I did try, or I didn't try. I mean, I'm going to try writing a review on the the original animated Transformers movie,
Ah, okay.
Oh,
which I which I which funny thing actually, because my name is so similar to that of the Nostalgia Critic, which by the way I wasn't thinking of when I made my name. Uh, uh,
Oops.
so I wanted to try and find a nostalgic movie for me, but then another thing came up. I don't really have any nostalgic movies because nostalgia implies from a long time ago, and I don't remember any movies I watched a long time
Right.
ago. That's why it was a long time ago.
Hmm.
But the only movie that I remember actually enjoying while watching was the original Transformers movie.
Right. Hmm. Man, it's like whenever you bring up like old films that you watched in the past, I just realize how weird my childhood was because I haven't seen any of these films. Like the original MLP stuff, well, that's obvious. But I do have a sister, so there's gotta be some excuse. The Transformers stuff, never watched a single episode. Um, Power Rangers, basically anything on Cartoon Network from the 90s to early 2000s. But yeah. So, kind of considering what you've tried reviewing, I'm trying to kind of glean what it is about MLP that has made it easier for you, besides just a general vested interest. Would it be that like each episode kind of follows a similar structure, and that kind of consistency makes it a bit more easy to slip into a routine, and therefore, you know, kind of eases
Yeah,
the progress
yeah.
of.
I've found that MLP, like obviously it had a consistent cast of characters. All of them have established traits. Uh, but the thing is, not all of them appear in the same episodes.
That's true.
Each episode could be about any character, and that's what I find interesting about it. Shows like Doctor Who focus on the Doctor and Clara, companion. Just
And then random
it
monster of the
gets
week.
it gets really boring just talking about the same thing over and
That's
over
true.
again. But
And I have noticed that
with
analyzing and
MLP,
reviewing Doctor Who is not really a popular thing. I don't think I've seen many like weekly reviews of a Doctor Who episode anywhere, really, now that I think about it.
but with MLP, it just something clicks with me.
Mm,
I just find it a lot more fun to review.
it's understandable. Yeah. I have actually kind of been thinking about, so what if I ever reached the point where I decided that Ponies was old hat and decided that I needed to move on, like you've done, Paleo, and like Digi and Tommy have been, kind of going in the direction of. And even Toon Critic has been, well, he's been doing quite a lot of it. Luckily, he has the name that can get away with it. But anyway,
Yeah,
it's like
I don't have the name to get away with anything. I'm the Ponyville critic. I'm stuck.
you were stuck in Equestria.
I'm
But
stuck in the
yeah, it's just kind
Ponyverse.
of like wrapping my head around. Oh, so this is temporary. This may come to an end. How can I future-proof myself? It's kind of a difficult thing to think about, and I have all the respect for you, Paleo, and others who have taken the initiative to not, I don't want to be insensitive and say disassociate yourself from ponies, but, to move toward a more broad spectrum of material or content.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe one day I can be cool like you people. I don't know.
I'm not cool.
But yeah.